Hello BookTube, this is Dario. Welcome to my channel Motley Reads. Today I'm going to talk about Emma by Jane Austen, which is my first Jane Austen July read. I'm reading Emma and I'm reading Pride and Prejudice. This is the first time ever I'm reading Jane Austen. As I told in the announcement video, it is something that my wife has tried to convince me to do during many years, at least 25 years. She was trying to convince me to read something by Jane Austen. I have resisted. We even went to Bath, to Ultima Jane Austen land, where I had the opportunity to indulge in everything that Janeites are like. I still, resisted. I looked. I watched the screen adaptations of Jane Austen novels, and still, I didn't read. It's not that I kind of actively resisted for any particular reason, but except of when I was younger, I felt that it's something, some girly readings. So it never really happened. So I got this opportunity to get into the Jane Austen world when I saw the announcement for Jane Austen July, and I decided to join a read along that is hosted by Katie of the BookTube channel Books and Things, and Marissa of BookTube channel Blatantly Bookish. So now I finalized Emma, and Emma is I don't think that for most of the audience here on BookTube that it needs some special introduction. It is quite late of Jane Austen works. She's written full 6 novels, and then there is also a number of other writings, juvenilia and letters and so on. But there are 6 novels. This is her 5th novel, and her 6th novel, Persuasion, the final novel, was published posthumously. So this was the last novel that she saw reaching the publication, and it is considered by some people as being her finest work. By some people is that is one of her least beloved novels. She herself have often described Emma as a character whom no one but myself will much like. So it is compared to the other novels of Jane Austen, who seem to be universally liked. This one is dividing the audience, and what is it about? It is really about the bored upper class on the English countryside in the beginning of 19th century. With all the dealings that you would have between the people in a small village, with a person called Emma Woodhouse in the center, being the one around which story circles, and her strivings to impact the marriage plans or marriage fate of an adept that she found among least fortunate people, so to say, and that adept of name Harriet Smith, and it's a story around that. Often when you read about what is it all about, it is about Emma Woodhouse, who is obsessed with matchmaking, and you can see it on the back of the book, and in the description of all the formatization, so on, and you would think that, okay, this is some kind of matchmaking after matchmaking. That's not really what is happening. It's just to me it's just kind of side track in the whole thing. It's just one of the ways to describe Emma Woodhouse as being a person that is taking command and wanting to control things through controlling other people's decisions, and it's more about that. So what can I say about this book? It is extremely well written. I found it as a being among the absolutely best things that I ever read. A fantastic book, a true delight to read. Every single line of it is masterfully executed. All the episodes, all the things that are happening there, you are not caught by surprise in many cases when things happen, because you have anticipated that. And the Jane Austen is extremely skillful in anticipation creation. So you can't point your finger on what is that really make you feel what is going to come, but don't know it's coming, but when it comes, it doesn't come as a surprise, and you're kind of delighted that you understand the thread and the inner workings of the story. Another fantastic thing here is deep characterization, and especially when it comes to Emma, because lots of text in a book is in Emma's head, the thoughts, the feelings that she has. So you really feel that you get to know her, and you also really feel that you get to know the other characters. When I read this, the style is pretty much like it reminds me a bit of the text by Lucy Montgomery, the writer of Anne of Green Gables. She was writing her novels 100 years after Jane Austen, and I think that she was definitely influenced by Jane Austen, because I could feel really the same type of writing, although perhaps not as skillfully executed as Jane Austen's. But there is some likeness in between there. Another thing that I can say about style here, the dialogue is play-like. So when things start moving, when there is no repositioning and no thinking about things, but when things moving, when there are certain episodes that are moving the story forward, when they start moving, it feels like a comedy play. Like the best plays of Shakespeare. So it's very it's funny and rapid dialogue that moves forward. When it comes to characters, of course, Emma is a key character here. She is I like Emma very much. I liked her from the very beginning as a person. Of course, she has lots of negative sides, like everybody else, and lots of positive sides. She really wants good. However, she's so. One thing that you need to think about, she's like just in her early 20s. She's 21 and not very mature. So although she comes across as very intelligent, her youth and that very limiting environment that village is, she never saw really anything else, is getting her to make some stupid things and to reason in ways that you would find today definitely unacceptable, perhaps even at that time. Then you have another character here that is very often mentioned, that many people love, as I understood, her father, Mr. Woodhouse. I didn't love Mr. Woodhouse. I really hated him. That guy really got on my nerves. He annoyed the hell out of me. I really don't like people like he. You could laugh at him. He's a hypochondria. He's a self-centricity. He is so self-absorbed that everything is about him, and everybody is around him, and he really indulges in that attention that he's getting. Then you have the voices of reason. There it's Mr. Knightley and Mrs. Weston, and you have villains, the couple, Elton couple, and there are lots of other characters that are building up this character squad, or however you would call it, that is making this social comedy drama complete. Now, saying the word social, it brings us into the context of the whole thing, and the whole context of the novel. This is really what I really found extremely interesting here is the social commentary, which is really elaborate, and the whole story here, it really goes around a quest to ensure that the existing structures of power in that village, in the society, get preserved in the process of generation shift. So young people are getting married, and with the marriages, all the inheritance follows. So right people have to marry with right people in order to make sure that the structures are really continue to live in the way they've been. Nobody really should think that they could climb too high up, and the structure shouldn't be disturbed, and all these things that are happening around are really around this structure preservation. It is a very vivid picture of a class society that when you read it you think that, okay, this is how things were back then, but when you really think about it, this is how things still are. I'm not talking only about third world countries, or I'm talking about the Western society of today. Sweden, for instance, in many cases, people might mock me and say, "Hey, what are you talking about?" But really, when you think about it, how people are, how people regard each other, how people marry, how people plan their future, and so on. Is it very much different today from before? I wouldn't say that it is really structurally different. The degrees of things might change, and the social mobility that is facilitated by the system that we built, particularly in the Nordic countries. That social mobility is there that wasn't there before. But when you think about how people with the good means behave, how they marry, how do they plan, it is not very much different. I would say. You can argue against me if you want. We can take a discussion around examples as well. You can see also the relationship between Emma and Harriet, for instance, is quite interesting. She's picking up Harriet from Harriet is on a boarding school with the, orphan with the unknown parents, and Emma is picking her up and want her to get married in a way that will secure her future going forward. But this is that is only a social experiment. It is Emma really wants her to climb, but not climb too much. Move up, but don't move too close to me. It is very much as lots of philanthropy that is philanthropy that is ongoing today. I would argue not a lot of different. Another thing that you can see in the context here is the whole small town mentality. Very much like today, the small town that I grew up in Bosnia, people are behaving in the same way with all this, gossiping, with all, making, small things huge. Everybody knows everything about everybody. People cannot really see other people succeed. They would rather drag them down into the mud than let them succeed. It is all this small town mentality. So you have this, and it paints a great picture of that society back then, beginning of 19th century, that is not very much different from the society we are living in today. It is very, very interesting to draw these parallels. So this book, to me, it was again, it was fantastic read in all ways imaginable. One thing that I also thought when I read this book is that there are lots of screen adaptations. I just watched this screen adaptation, just finished it 10 minutes ago, from 1996. And when I read this book, I thought that you can't really make a screen adaptation that would really represent this fantastic work of fiction, because the gems here are really in the commentary and in the things that are happening in Emma's head. That's very, 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 the real value of it is, and you can't get it in here. It's just it becomes so flat, so shallow. You get the plot is there, but the depth is not there. So to me, this book is really not for screen adaptations. They should stop doing this. Stop doing screen adaptations of Emma, please, because this book is just so larger than the medium of film, to me at least. And I usually don't reread books, hardly ever. I already now know that I'm going to reread this, and I'm going to reread it probably multiple times. And the reason for this is that I'm sure that I'm going to find so many nuances, so many things that I missed, and I'm really looking forward to read it now when I know exactly what is happening, and to be less in the story but looking at the story from a side and discovering new perspectives of it. So and this book also opened up Jane Austen's world for me. I'm going to read Pride and Prejudice as a part of Jane Austen July, but after reading this, I'm sure that I'm going to read everything by Jane Austen. I will need to stop myself from reading everything at once. So Emma by Jane Austen, a fantastic book, one of the best reading experiences of my life. I'm extremely glad that I'm participating in Jane Austen July, and I'm extremely glad that I picked up just this book to start with. Loved it. See you.